All right. We are back with another episode of your favorite podcast ever.
That's right. This is episode 4 of the Disney College Program miniseries, part of the Life at Disney podcast, and this is Alumni Week. You know, they say where you start may not always be where you end up, and our guests today are proof of exactly that. First up is Stephanie. She's an event operation manager with Disney Institute, and she started her Disney journey in Cosmic Rays at Magic Kingdom Park in quick service. And if you're trying to figure out what any of that means, you're gonna find out right here, right now. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you.
How are you?
Thank you for having. Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy to be sitting next to you.
You as well.
Okay, so let's start right away. Can you explain what an event operation manager is?
Yes, so I handle all of the logistics for all of our events, both domestically and internationally. So if you think about shipping, our facilitators, making sure the content is perfect, the program is perfect, I'm in charge of the successes and the fun things in between.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of tasks and responsibilities for sure.
Yes.
So if someone doesn't know, someone being me, Disney Institute, what is that?
Disney Institute is our external arm of learning and development. So we create experiences for our clients and show them how Disney is successful and how they can bring that to their teams and their companies.
Okay. And I know you did a Disney College program.
I did.
Tell us about that experience. What was your role when you started?
When I started my Disney College program, I worked food and beverage at Cosmic Rays. So I was all over the place. I was frontline, either cleaning the lobby or the drinks, making sure that everyone got their food as well.
Nice. And I know everyone was very proud to represent their school on their name tag. So what school did you have represented?
I had Eastern New Mexico University.
Nice. And what was it like there?
Desert, peanuts, but lots of fun.
Yeah. And you grew up in the desert, right?
Correct. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Very, very cool. All right. So what was it that initially led you to apply for the Disney College program?
For me, it was really just when I was small. I went to Disneyland with my uncles and my mom, and there is just a beautiful magic in pixie dust about the company. And I was on the internet, saw the application pop up on Facebook, and I went and applied.
That's amazing. Tell me one of your favorite memories from your Disney College program experience.
My favorite memories is with my college program roommates. I had 5 from all over domestically, but they made my day so much better after work.
Yeah. Are there any lessons, any skills that you learned during your internship experience that you still use today?
I would say lessons learned would be you could always sleep later. It's very, very easy after a very long shift to just want to come home and chill and sleep. But I learned that you should embrace your program, enjoy your program, everything that it has to offer, the events, the activities. And so that's one thing that I wish I did more and network more. But the skills that I still use today, for sure, are verbal communication, problem solving, anything like that. So, yeah.
Of course, the programs have evolved over time. If you were to do one now, what would you be most excited about?
I would be most excited about Flamingo Crossing. I lived in Vista Way, so this is completely different when you think of the Disney program cast members, as well as the events here, activities, the gym, the pool. Like, this place is golden. So if I could do it all over again, it would simply be Flamingo Crossing.
Yeah, Flamingo Crossings Village has been one of my favorite places to work anywhere in the world. So here at Flamingo Crossings Village, all of the participants live in neighborhoods, right? And each neighborhood has a character that represents it. So for example, if you live in E, it's for Edna from The Incredibles. So if you had to pick a letter and a character to represent a neighborhood, what would it be for you?
For me, it would be S for Shuri, just because technology is just on another level. And the way that the world's evolving into more technology, it would for sure be Shuri from Black Panther.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I need to, as a matter of fact, put something on my desk to make sure she's represented right up here. Simply put, why Disney?
I used to be a teacher. with 7th and 8th graders, and they actually inspired me to follow my dreams. And so coming to Disney and being able to be inspired by them, but also be an inspiration to them as well. So my Disney why is really for the next generation, and making sure that they know to follow their dreams the same way that they encouraged me to follow mine.
So have you had any roles during your journey with the company, or have you attended any events, anything specifically that has allowed you to fulfill that purpose?
For me, being able to be a mentor to our Disney College Program HBCU cohorts, powered by Disney on the Yard, and being able to inspire them as they inspire me, and being able to hear their stories, where they're from, their journey, and where they want to go.
So as we talk about HBCUs, right, it's hard to really explain what life is like there and just what the culture is, but you got a little bit of taste of it with HBCU Week. Talk to us about that.
It was a vibe because you got to see so many students not only checking out the different HBCUs across the country, but also seeing them actually get accepted. And it really made me happy to see how they get to see drum major Mickey, but also how their dreams of getting into the schools are actually a reality.
So you mentioned, of course, being a mentor to our HBCU interns. What exactly does that mean, and what were you able to do?
Yeah, so I was partnered with another mentor. We both have worked for the company throughout the years, and being able to have 3 cohorts in our little group and showing them Disney facts, what is there to do around here, how does their path and their careers connect them into the company, their Disney story. But also just the little nuanced questions that magically pop up sometimes, and kind of being their help, being their go-to person for any question.
That's awesome. Especially as someone who's coming here for the first time, there's so much to take in. So to be able to have someone like you, that's incredible.
Yes, they are incredible.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay, so if I were to take a look at a highlight reel of your career, what are some of your highlights?
Some of the highlights in my career would be my role as an analyst, automating myself out of a job twice, but also working for National Geographic, traveling the nation with explorers, but also being able to be with Disney Institute and our facilitators and see how they do learning and development.
Yeah. Most people don't know that Disney is a parent company for Hulu, National Geographic, and ESPN, and all these other entities. How did you end up at National Geographic?
Naturally, at heart, I am an introvert. So I have learned throughout my career of being able to network, build connections. And so really looking at my resume and where I wanted to go after being an analyst, I started to network, started to gain more insights into what Disney really has. And so I came across some really awesome people to give me insight into this thing called National Geographic and how that ties in not only to our television, but also our parks. And so being able to network and learn and knowing that's where I wanted to go and that's where I wanted to be, but also building those skills to make sure that I would be a top candidate when a job came available.
What is something that you would recommend to an intern as far as networking and getting their feet out there?
I would highly suggest checking out Endless Possibility Showcase here at Flamingo Crossing. It's a one-stop shop of what Disney has to offer, but how that ties into their career goals, how that ties into their field of study, and what that looks like here at Walt Disney.
There are times when an intern comes in and they're passionate about the thing that they are studying, and it may not necessarily correlate with the role that they have. What's something that you could offer as advice for staying positive and figuring out how you can bring it back to where you want to go?
Really look at the skills that your role has to offer. All skills are transferable, and being able to take those skills and have it for a lifetime throughout your career is something special.
How does it feel to be a lending hand and a listening ear to interns who are in a position that you were once in?
It is really inspirational, just knowing that I walked in their shoes at some point, but also taking the challenges and the successes of that and seeing how it built out my Disney journey and helping them along the way of what their Disney journey is. And they are at the start of what that looks like. And being able to have them come to me and give advice, or just being that venting session sometimes that we need, is really inspirational.
What would you tell your college program self about who you are and where you are now?
I would tell my college program self that it gets better and better and better. Sometimes when it looks cloudy or rainy, there's still a sun. There's still sunshine. And so just embracing the rain, but also the growth and confidence that comes along the way.
Earlier off camera, you were telling me that those rainy days actually helped you to get where you are now, literally. Talk about that a little bit.
For me, it's really taking those seeds of failure, job rejections, no's, and taking that feedback and really looking at my resume to discover, how can I make this better? What do I want my Disney story to be? And being able to water those seeds by gaining those skills, gaining that knowledge so that I can be a top candidate, so that next door does have my name on it.
If there is someone who is right on the fence with their application for the Disney College Program, what advice do you have for them?
Just do it. You never know what could happen. And being able to take that leap of faith, and just seeing where it goes, you just never know.
So if you're an intern coming in for this experience, what things do you recommend to not only check out, the Walt Disney Company and all that we have to offer at Walt Disney World Resort, but outside of that space and within the state?
I would highly suggest doing volunteer events. It is something that I have done and continue to do, to touch the other aspects of what Orlando has to offer, being a part of the community, but also giving back along the way.
A lot of people hear the word volunteering, and that can sound like so much. There's so much within that. But what are some examples of things that you have done?
Reading to kids at elementary schools, or the food drives, food banks, but also clothing drives, but also helping teachers when it's back to school time.
I feel like that's a big part of the community here within the Walt Disney Company, that people just have that heart to do more and to give back. Is that something that you see in your area too?
I do. I have a full team ready to show up and help. And so being a part of not only my little small community of helping, but also in the broader sense of my team.
What does it mean to be able to do some of these things out of work that also helps you build relationships with the people that you have just sitting in the office?
Meeting so many different people that also enjoy giving back, but also listening to their story, how it ties in, because everyone has a different Disney journey. And so learning about them, their personal life, but also their professional life and how they got to where they are.
What are some of your dreams and hopes for the future?
Really being able to dive into strategy and development as an evolving company. What does that look like? How can I tie into that? How can I'm already in the room, but how can I add value in a different way through strategy and development?
What's your Disney dream job?
If you asked me that during my college program, my answer would have been completely different. However, now the answer is tough. There's different dreams to embrace every day, and I'm just embracing what comes.
Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us here on this episode. It's been so exciting to get to know you, and thank you for the advice that you've passed on to our future participants.
Thank you so much for having me. You've been such a blast and such a vibe.
Same to you. Thank you so much. There are so many possibilities for a career in Disney after your Disney College program. Stay tuned because you're going to hear from Holly and someone who's making an impact in a galaxy far, far away.
Thanks, Josiah. Okay, I am having a lot of mixed feelings right now because on the one hand, we are at the end of season 2. I am here with our last guest of the season, and I'm just super bummed that we're wrapping up because I wish we could do this forever. On the other hand, I am super excited because we are finishing off this season with an absolute superstar who I am so excited for you all to meet. He is a native of San Francisco and started his Disney journey working at the Disney Family Museum, and then went on to work custodial as a Disney College Program participant at Disneyland. And today, he provides behind-the-scenes support to beloved Star Wars movies and films as a production coordinator with Lucasfilm. So, all super, super cool things. Please join me in welcoming Ruben to the show. Ruben, so excited to have you here. How are you feeling?
Hey, thank you. I'm honored to be here. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, of course. Well, I'm super excited to have you here. I mean, I feel like your job is just so cool. Working at Lucasfilm is just a dream. But before we get into all of that, I feel like we should start at the beginning. So, can you tell me about yourself and your Disney career? How did you start here?
Gosh. So, I grew up just loving movies, and I, was fortunate to have annual Disney trips, and just going every year, I just thought like this place is really cool. You can make rides, you can work on movies, you can make movies based on rides. This is a whole world that you can dive into at Disney. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in San Francisco. How do I get close to that? And it was around high school when I found out that the Disney Family Museum here in San Francisco, they have a volunteer program. So I just went over, and I was there weekly, and that was such an amazing experience because they took me in, and they took in this awkward, shy 15-year-old kid, and they were very supportive of my ambition, and they had me stay on as an intern to kind of help with their summer programming, mainly focused on like youth workshops. So kind of introducing like what Imagineers do, and kind of introducing younger generations kids to all of that. And that was really cool. It was really special to be a part of that.
Okay, so the Disney Family Museum, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Because I don't know if everyone's going to be familiar with what that is.
Yeah, so the Disney Family Museum, I think they opened up in 2009, and it's opened up here in the Presidio of San Francisco. It's actually just, a 10-minute walk from where I am here at Lucasfilm. And it was founded by Walt Disney's daughter, Diane Disney Miller. And the reason was to kind of separate from the the hub that is LA and Burbank, and kind of separate it from all of that, have it be in the Bay Area alongside, hubs like Lucasfilm and Pixar. Um, and it's totally separate from the company. It's all family run, and it's just a place where Diane offers her perspective of her father, and that's his story from the family perspective.
That is so cool. I've never been, so now I feel like I need to go visit. But okay, you were 15 when you got this volunteer position.
Yeah,
How
that's
did
when I first
that
started.
happen? Like, did you just walk in and you're like, hey, can I work here? Or like, how did you get that?
So at school there was in my high school there was a program, like a volunteer program initiative, where we had to volunteer about like 100 hours in order to graduate. And I thought, okay, cool, what are the options? And the Disney Family Museum was an option. I thought, oh my gosh, no brainer. And one of my teachers there recommended me to their volunteer program, and then that kind of, one thing led to another. I met with the volunteer program director at the time, and that opened up a lot of doors for me. And from there, yeah, I started just kind of being a gallery attendant, just walking around the galleries. And I thought that was so cool because, you get to walk the galleries before the museum opens. And it's just so cool because being in those spaces alone, to me, it's amazing. It's kind of like whenever you get the chance to walk around Disneyland alone, it's kind of like that. Feels like a movie.
Oh my gosh, that's way cooler than like any of the volunteer opportunities I had. I went to school in Seattle, Washington, and I don't even know what our volunteer opportunities were, but certainly not the Walt Disney Family Museum. That's really cool. What was like the coolest experience from working there? Did you learn anything new?
I actually had the amazing opportunity to get to speak with and meet with Diane Disney Miller quite often.
Stop.
And that
Quite
was,
often. Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I had really great conversations with her, and I'm really grateful for her too, just for being super encouraging for caring and actually listening to, to me and encouraging me. And I think about that experience a lot whenever I need an extra boost or motivation because that's Walt Disney's daughter. And we would have conversations and she would just refer to Walt as dad. And I think that's crazy.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is just like such a wild experience to have. Like you are talking to a living relative of Walt Disney. Like that's wild. Where did you go to school? And then tell me a little bit about how you heard about the Disney College program.
I went to Academy of Art University and um, going into there, that's like one thing I knew I had to do, and that was the Disney College program. My freshman year, I applied a couple times. I didn't make it the first time, but fortunately, on my second try, I got in. Second application, I got in.
So you had wanted to work for Disney for a while. You already knew you wanted to do this. Once you got on the program, what was it like? Like, did it live up to your expectations?
It was that and more.
Oh, okay. We love to hear that.
Yeah, when I got there, I mean, of course, everyone knows the experience of traditions, and it's just like the most exciting thing in the world. You're like, oh my gosh, I get to be a part of this. This is so cool. We're gonna make magic and memories, and we're just gonna do all these great things. And it was all that. It was so cool.
Okay, I want to know more about your role because when you were on the college program, you did a custodial role and you kind of called it when you were younger and you're like, I would work here as a custodian. Tell me more about that role.
I went into this kind of already excited about it because I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and people with their like, what's the best role to get when you're in the college program? And, I gotta say, custodial is like, it's up there. It's
underrated. Custodial is
it
a good
is.
role.
A lot of the time it was scooping up a lot of popcorn and, kind of like making little Mickey ears out of flowers. um, but it was so much fun because I was really kind of I was in a land or two and I was just walk around and just talk to guests and other cast members. And it was just so much fun because there I knew I had the opportunity to kind of make a special moment for someone. And that was really cool just to have that kind of power to make someone's day. I love that so much.
So were you naturally someone who could talk to people like before you went into this role? Did that come easy for you?
It didn't actually. I think this role kind of opened me up more. You're speaking to people and you also have to act in a professional manner and you're representing the company.
Okay, so in this role on the college program, you've talked about learning to kind of come out of your shell a little bit, talking to guests. Was there anything else you learned from being on the college program that has been super helpful to you even today?
The networking part for sure. Those courses that we take in the college program with Disney University, they were essential, I think, in setting me up for this job that I have now. They taught me a lot about networking and being prepared and kind of setting yourself apart from everyone else in that regard.
How did you transition into your current role? And can you tell me a little bit about your role with Lucasfilm?
Yeah, so after coming back home to San Francisco after the college program, I saw that the closest I can get to Disney was either at Lucasfilm or at Pixar. Those are my options. Lucasfilm was obviously closer. It was in San Francisco. So I thought, okay, I can't quite get a job there yet. I don't have a portfolio. That's what I'm in school for. But I saw that they had a coffee shop on the campus. And I thought, what if I just worked there? So yeah, I kind of went in there with this intention of working there to be close to it, but also to become a familiar face, to network with all of these Lucasfilm employees and ILM employees. And I started working there, and I was there for 3 or 4 years. I ended up getting a referral from someone that I knew there, just from knowing them over the years. And I feel super fortunate.
So I'm super curious. Can you give me a little insight, a little sneak peek into what your day-to-day looks like?
So I'm a production coordinator at Industrial Light and Magic, and Industrial Light and Magic is a Lucasfilm company, so we work hand in hand with them. But we work as a visual effects house, so we work with other studios as well, and we handle their visual effects. And for a production coordinator, you essentially manage a team of artists in a department in the visual effects pipeline, and it's a lot of handling the schedule for these artists and making sure that folks are assigned to any specific shots and making sure that those are done in time.
Do you have a favorite project that you've worked on?
I gotta say, the first project that I got to work on was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
Yeah, and rolling into that, just like as a production assistant and being a huge Star Wars fan, it was crazy.
okay. So I have to ask, you've had, if we go back all the way to like when you were 15 and you started volunteering to now, you've had a relatively long career with Disney. What have been some highlights of your Disney career?
I must say, the experience that I had with Diane Disney Miller and the Miller family at the Disney Family Museum has been super impactful for me. That's definitely a highlight, and having the opportunity to kind of share my enthusiasm for Disney and the craft that goes into Imagineering and storytelling altogether with other leaders in the industry has been also super impactful, because just hearing them get excited about my enthusiasm, I just kind of fed off of that energy, and I thought, okay, cool. I made an impression. I got to talk to them, but also making friends within the company and, um, getting to know people, getting to work with a lot of different kinds of people who share a similar interest and who ultimately just want to tell stories. Um, we just happen to tell these Star Wars stories, which is amazing.
Next question. I imagine it hasn't all been like rainbows and butterflies. Have there been any challenges, either from the Disney College program or in your role now, that you've had to overcome?
The just the social aspect, and I think both my Disney College program role and my role here as a production coordinator, um, it was a challenge because again, I'm not the most extroverted person, and back then, I had to really put myself out there to meet people, and now we're living in times where we're kind of like in a hybrid remote work environment, where you kind of have to put in a little more effort to meet with your peers and your coworkers and kind of establish a connection to have some sort of camaraderie. Um, it takes some extra effort than it would, if you're completely in the office. And fortunately, I get to come in because I live fairly nearby. So I'm lucky to have that.
What would you say to your college program self if you could like go back in time and be like, listen, we made it. Here's my advice for you.
Don't worry so much. I was constantly, thinking, what if it didn't work out? What if I'm not doing enough? What if I'm not networking enough? Or what if I'm not good enough as an artist if I want to end up being in a creative role? But I think most people, if not all people, feel that way. It's just a matter of being consistent and delivering for yourself and being there for yourself.
On the topic of advice, Lucasfilm is not Disney proper. It's one of Disney's affiliated brands. So I feel like your experience just really shows how, again, like we've talked about, like there's not one single track at Disney. You might work for Disney proper, you might work for Lucasfilm, you might work for Pixar, any of the other affiliated brands. But for anyone who's interested in maybe working for some of Disney's affiliated brands, what advice would you have for them?
I would say definitely do not be afraid to network. These are all friendly people, and they all like to share their stories. And I think hearing interest from someone else is also exciting and inspiring, because we've all been in that position before of like, I would love to work there, or I would love to, be in that role. And we've all been there. So I think just reaching out and asking questions and being curious and excited, those are the key ingredients, I think. And I think everything will kind of lead into each other if you're just consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Again, try new things. That's what we've been talking about. So, okay, I'm curious, what's next for you? Like, what's your 5-year plan? No, what are your career goals, and kind of where do you see yourself going next in Disney/Lucasfilm, or, anywhere else?
In terms of looking at, what might be on the horizon, I see creative roles. That's definitely the direction I'd like to head towards. Within the company, that'd be really great. Filmmaking and theme park design are really at like the core of my heart. It's what I love to do, and to be able to kind of provide any creative impact or input on any large scale story. I mean, that'd be amazing.
Last question for you to wrap up. What advice do you have for college students or recent grads who are considering doing an internship with the Disney College program?
I say, do it. Quoting Palpatine, I think it's definitely an important step. If you do this, and if you're considering a career with Disney, I think it's an important step in your career. Not only are you going to develop some pretty great professional skills that you'll just keep in your back pocket for the rest of your career, but you'll have amazing memories along the way. You'll meet a lot of great people, but at the same time, I think it's really important to be strategic with this and go into this knowing kind of what you want to get out of it, because it is a commitment. It's a very fun commitment, but going into it with some strategy is my greatest piece of advice.
I really love the part about being strategic, because it is a commitment. It's a fun commitment, like you said. But there's also so much to be gained from this through networking, through learning what opportunities there are. I think a lot of people come into this and they aren't even sure what's available at Disney, which is totally fair because this is a massive company. So I love that that's your advice, is to explore and to kind of think outside the box and meet as many people as possible. I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to kind of go into it open-minded, because I know I have friends who, they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do when they first started, and they found that they love park operations, or they love, another department within the company that they found a way to get into, all just from having a foot in the door.
Thank you so much, Ruben, for joining us. I had so much fun just learning about your experience at the Disney Family Museum, your internship with the Disney College program, and now your role as a production coordinator with Lucasfilm. It was just such a joy to talk to you, and I'm so excited to see what you do next.
We hope you've enjoyed season 2 of the Disney College Program miniseries, part of the Life at Disney podcast.
If you can't get enough of this podcast or us, we also have a season 1, which you can check out.
That's right, and word on the street is,
we'll be back for season 3.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.